Bonjour tout le monde. It's great to be here today at York Woods Public School with Minister Hussein and members of Parliament Kirsty Duncan and Judy Scrow. We're also joined by Carleen Jackson and Alexander Brown from the TDSB, as well as school trustee Chris Mamoliti. And to Principal Verma and Vice Principal McDonald, thank you for welcoming us here this morning. I know the end of August is always busy as you get ready to welcome kids back, and while every year is different, this September will be unlike any you've had to deal with before. Parents and staff are anxious about what the school year may hold. As a dad and as a former teacher, I get that. We all want what's best for our kids, including a good education. School matters. I got to see that firsthand when I was in front of the classroom. And that's why the tools we give to young people now to keep them safe, to allow them to be successful in the years to come in a world that is changing, a world that right now is more changed and more transformed than we've seen in a long time, getting them back to school safely and making sure them and their parents are confident about what they're doing and how they're doing it really, really matters. Just a few minutes ago, I had the chance to sit down with Joanne Luong and Fong Bui. They have 4 kids, and they were telling me that they're worried about sending them back to school. Like every parent, Joanne and Fong want to make sure their children are safe. But as owners of their own business, it's also hard to juggle work with the kids at home. This is something that a lot of parents, especially mothers, are facing right now. Our children must be safe in the classroom. That's non-negotiable. No parent should be losing sleep because they have to go back to work but aren't confident schools are properly prepared. Ce sont mes collègues, les premiers ministres des provinces, qui ont la responsabilité d'assurer la sécurité de nos enfants en classe et celle des enseignants au travail. Mais notre gouvernement va être là pour les aider. Comme je l'ai déjà dit, les provinces et les territoires doivent prendre des décisions en se fondant sur des conseils en matière de santé publique et non pas à cause de limites budgétaires. Alors, on est passé de la parole aux actions en accordant du financement fédéral pour les aider. Notre gouvernement s'est déjà engagé à investir une somme historique de 19 milliards de dollars dans l'accord sur la relance sécuritaire avec les provinces et les territoires. On l'a fait pour apporter aux Canadiens le soutien dont ils ont besoin. On a toujours promis d'être là pour les Canadiens et c'est exactement ce qu'on fait. Mais il reste encore, bien sûr, du travail à faire. Aujourd'hui, on prend donc un autre pas en avant. Yesterday, I spoke with premiers about the upcoming school year. They're working hard to protect our kids, but this year is challenging and like no other. That's why today I can announce that the federal government is investing up to $2 billion in school safety for the coming year. This money, which will flow through the new Safe Return to Class Fund, will help keep students and teachers safe as schools reopen. Our children must always be our top priority as parents and as governments. Once people know their kids are safe, they can get back to work with less worries. Education is, of course, a provincial jurisdiction, and I told the premiers yesterday that we absolutely respect that. What we're announcing today is designed to support provinces and territories in the best way possible. Our government is here to help. We've made this funding flexible, so provinces and ultimately schools can use it for what they need most, from hand sanitizer to remote learning. On top of this new funding, we're also investing $112 million in schools in First Nation communities. This money will help those communities safely open their schools with proper supports for students, parents, and educators. I want to thank everyone who has helped bring this new Safe Return to Class Fund together. Over the past week, I've heard clearly from Liberal MPs across the country, as well as directly from concerned parents, asking us to see just what the federal government can do to help keep our kids safe. So in his very first days as Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, Minister LeBlanc and I talked about this, and he reached out to folks across the country. And again, I want to thank members of caucus, including and especially Kirsty and Judy, here with us today, who've been a driving force to get more help to parents and kids. Also, yesterday, when I sat down with Dr. Tam, back to school was one of a number of things that we talked about to prepare for the fall. School safety is top of mind for all of us right now. No matter where they live, students must be safe in their classrooms. Teachers and staff must be safe on the job. And parents must be confident that they can get back to work. Aujourd'hui, je peux annoncer que notre gouvernement investit jusqu'à 2 milliards de dollars dans le nouveau fonds pour une rentrée scolaire sécuritaire. On le fait pour garder nos jeunes et leurs enseignants en toute sécurité pour la prochaine année. Ce soutien est flexible, alors les provinces et ultimement les écoles pourront s'en servir pour répondre à leurs besoins, que ce soit pour du désinfectant pour les mains ou encore pour l'apprentissage à distance. Au cours des prochaines semaines, on va travailler main dans la main avec les provinces et territoires pour que les fonds se rendent le plus vite possible. On investit aussi 112 millions de dollars dans les écoles des Premières Nations. Cet argent va les aider à rouvrir leurs écoles de manière sécuritaire et à offrir le soutien nécessaire aux élèves, aux parents et aux enseignants. Je tiens à remercier tous ceux qui ont aidé à mettre sur pied le fonds pour une rentrée scolaire sécuritaire. Au cours de la dernière semaine, j'ai entendu clairement des députés libéraux de partout au pays, mais aussi directement des parents inquiets qui nous demandent qu'est-ce que le gouvernement fédéral peut faire pour aider à garder nos enfants en sécurité. Lors de ses toutes premières journées en tant que ministre des Affaires intergouvernementales, Dominique et moi en avons parlé. Et lui, il a fait des suivis avec les membres du caucus pour développer ce plan. Quand j'ai rencontré la Dr Tam hier, notre conversation a porté en grande partie sur la rentrée scolaire, étant donné qu'on se prépare à l'automne qui s'en vient. Ensemble, on a trouvé des solutions créatives pour que le gouvernement du Canada puisse aider nos familles et s'assurer que nos enfants soient en sécurité. At our first ministers' meeting yesterday afternoon, the premiers and I discussed the measures we're taking to keep Canadians safe in the weeks and months to come. That includes today's federal support for schools and progress on everything from personal protective equipment to help for the most vulnerable. Fighting COVID-19 is a Team Canada effort, and we're all committed to continuing this work together into the fall. Je remercie les premiers ministres de leur collaboration dans plusieurs projets importants au cours des derniers mois. Comme vous le savez, la lutte contre la COVID-19 a toujours été un effort qui demande du travail concerté d'un bout à l'autre du pays. Dans les jours et les semaines à venir, je sais qu'on sera prêt à continuer d'avancer ensemble. Merci tout le monde d'être ici. Je suis content de prendre vos questions maintenant.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll start the question period over to the phone today with 3 questions, 1 follow-up. Opératrice, c'est à vous.
Merci. Please press star 1 at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. Notre première question est de Hélène Buzetti du Devoir. À vous la parole.
Oui, bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau. Dans la mesure où l'éducation est de compétence provinciale et dans la mesure où vous n'avez pas ces 2 milliards de dollars-là, vous devrez les emprunter. Pourquoi ne laissez-vous pas les provinces s'endetter elles-mêmes si elles estiment avoir besoin de plus d'argent pour la rentrée?
D'abord, on a entendu clairement à travers le pays que les parents sont inquiets de la rentrée scolaire. Je sais que les provinces travaillent toutes sur des plans pour une rentrée sécuritaire, mais les parents sont encore inquiets. Alors, on cherchait comment on pouvait aider en plus le gouvernement fédéral. évidemment en reconnaissant que c'est une compétence provinciale, mais le besoin est réel et criant. Donc, de pouvoir envoyer cet argent aux provinces pour qu'ils puissent faire encore plus pour protéger les parents, pour assurer que cette relance économique, que ce retour à l'école, que les prochains mois où on va continuer de vivre avec la COVID-19 se passent le mieux possible. C'est la décision qu'on a prise pour aider encore plus les familles au Canada.
Mais cet argent, vous ne l'avez pas plus que les provinces. Alors pourquoi faudrait-il que ce soit de la dette fédérale plutôt que de la dette provinciale? Ça donne l'impression que vous trouvez que les plans provinciaux sont pas suffisants. Et qu'est-ce que vous dites à vos détracteurs qui disent que, en fait, vous essayez d'acheter votre réélection en jouant au sauveur?
Je pense que les gens qui écoutent les parents d'un bout à l'autre de ce pays savent très bien qu'il n'y a quasiment pas d'autres sujets dont les gens sont en train de discuter ces semaines-ci. Tout le monde a des questions sur la rentrée scolaire, sur comment ça va se passer à travers le pays. Oui, il y a des provinces où ça va mieux en termes de chiffres de COVID-19, mais on sait très bien qu'il y a une possibilité d'une deuxième vague. Et on a reconnu que même si ce n'est pas une juridiction fédérale, on peut aider. On a fait une promesse aux Canadiens dès le début de cette pandémie d'être là pour ceux qui en avaient besoin et on a vu que les besoins sont là pour les parents. Alors, d'appuyer les provinces pour leur donner plus de ressources pour vraiment faire tout ce qui est nécessaire pour assurer la sécurité de nos enfants, c'est quelque chose de primordial.
Merci. Opératrice, prochaine question.
Merci. Thank you. The next question is from Laura Stone from the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead.
Hi, Prime Minister. Good morning. You're announcing this money a couple of weeks and in some cases days away from schools reopening. So why didn't you make this money available sooner? And can you respond to criticisms that you are trying to make your government look like a political savior by swooping in at the last minute?
I think we recognize, and I've always deeply recognized and followed the principles of our Constitution that says that K-12 education is a provincial responsibility. And even as a teacher and a parent, I've recognized that that is something we're best leaving in the hands of the provinces. However, over the past week or so, I've heard from so many Liberal MPs, so many parents across the country who are still extremely worried about how that reopening is going to go. Now, we've seen the provinces put forward plans for that reopening, and they are confident that they're doing what is necessary, but parents were still concerned. So we said, let's give the provinces even more resources to be able to do everything that is necessary to keep our kids safe. Now, what they choose to do will be up to them and the conversations they have with parents and with citizens in their provinces. But we know that there is more to do to ensure that parents aren't anxious or aren't as anxious about the return to class. We have no intention, and we had no intention of interfering in provincial areas of jurisdiction. That's why this money coming in to be able to top up the plans that the premiers have set forward is going to be something that will give people confidence, not just in the safety of their kids, but in their ability to get back to work and our economy to get going once again.
Following up, Laura.
And Prime Minister, you're making this announcement in the Toronto area. Obviously, there have been some vocal critics of Ontario's plan, particularly around class sizes. So are you saying with this money that Ontario's back-to-school plan is not good enough? And do you expect the Ford government to use it primarily to lower class sizes?
As I said, we've heard from parents right across the country who are concerned about sending their kids back to school. So this is money that is going to help right across the country in every province and territory. Also, like I said, we fully respect provincial jurisdiction over education. This money is there to help keep our kids safe, but the provinces will determine the best way to make sure that this money is spent in ways that keep our citizens and our kids safe.
Thank you. Operator, last question on the phone.
Thank you. Merci. La prochaine question est de Lina Dib de la Presse canadienne. À vous.
Oui, bonjour. Pour revenir sur la question du temps que ça vous a pris pour annoncer cet argent-là, dans votre communiqué, vous parlez de la possibilité de changer les systèmes d'aération. Monsieur Trudeau, les enfants au Québec ont déjà commencé à rentrer dans les écoles. Je pense pas qu'on va se mettre à refaire le système d'aération maintenant. Ça aurait pu être fait en juillet, en août. Alors, pouvez-vous m'expliquer pourquoi vous avez attendu si longtemps? Est-ce que c'est parce que c'était une question de compétence et vous vouliez pas piler sur les pieds des provinces?
Comme j'ai dit, la question de compétence est extrêmement importante pour nous et on reconnaît que les provinces ont mis sur pied leur plan pour recommencer de façon sécuritaire l'année scolaire. En même temps, au cours des dernières semaines, on a entendu clairement le besoin et l'inquiétude des parents de voir plus d'aide pour les rassurer encore plus. Et on s'est dit, bien, les provinces ont déjà établi leur plan, les parents sont en train de demander pour plus. Nous, on ne va pas dire aux provinces qu'est-ce qu'ils devraient faire, mais on peut s'assurer que les provinces aient des ressources supplémentaires pour baisser le niveau d'anxiété des parents. Donc, c'est une reconnaissance que même avec les plans que les provinces ont établis, les parents demeurent encore inquiets et on a trouvé que c'était une façon pour aider les provinces à faire encore mieux pour réduire l'anxiété des parents.
En suivi, Lina?
Merci, je reviens avec ma question. Est-ce que c'est pas un petit peu trop tard pour calmer les parents? Parce que, à part d'acheter plus de savon, là, maintenant que les écoles sont déjà ouvertes, comment est-ce que cet argent-là va pouvoir servir?
Bien, d'abord, j'ai énormément de confiance dans les provinces et dans les écoles pour voir comment ils peuvent mettre plus de ressources au bénéfice des étudiants. Puis on reconnaît aussi que, au fur et à mesure que l'année scolaire reprend, il y a une possibilité d'avoir des deuxièmes vagues. Et cette réalité veut dire que ces ressources-là vont pouvoir aider pour amener des choses qui seraient peut-être pas une priorité ou des choses auxquelles ils ne pensent pas maintenant, qui vont peut-être devenir nécessaires à la mi-septembre ou en fin octobre. Alors, de s'assurer que les provinces aient plus de ressources pour pouvoir protéger les jeunes, je pense que c'est quelque chose que tous les parents et tous les gens comprennent à travers le pays.
Prime Minister Brian Lilley, Toronto Sun. We're going to be in this anxious position until there's a vaccine or treatment for COVID-19. Yesterday, Dr. Tam was speaking extensively about vaccines, but there was a piece in Maclean's written by Dr. Amir Adaran of the University of Ottawa School of Epidemiology and Public Health saying that your government has let Canadians down because we're the only Western country not to have purchased in advance one of the vaccines that's heading into phase 3 trials. Can you tell us the status of any purchase of vaccines and why your government went that route as opposed to trying to buy the Oxford vaccine or anything else?
We've actually signed a number of deals with potential vaccine producers around the world. The issue is nobody yet has a vaccine and nobody knows who's going to develop the vaccine. So like many, many countries around the world, we're working with a range of partners to ensure that when someone does find a vaccine, Canadians will have access to it. There is a lot of research going on here in Canada and elsewhere around the world that we are focused on making sure that we are working with so that Canadians can be protected and also to recognize that there is going to be a need for vaccines all around the world, including in the developing world where COVID is hitting extremely hard, that is not top of mind for all countries. But Canada is part of global efforts to ensure that there are vaccines produced in a large enough number, not just for Canadians, but for people around the world.
Hello, Prime Minister. I'm with the York West Advocate, which is our local paper right here in this community. So I would like to congratulate you on giving significant funds to provinces to assist them in improving their schools and their bus fleets so they can have smaller classrooms and less students on buses. But education is not a provincial responsibility, but big telecom is. And lower rates and high speed on the internet is important for students at home and in school, because after COVID, a lot of kids are using, and parents and adults are using the internet also for education. Could you comment on your future consideration of big media?
It is not just a question of investing in digital access and broadband access for Canadians in the future. It's about investing in it right now. We've made significant investments over the past years, particularly in underserved areas that are often rural or remote, but we recognize that data charges and the cost of cell phones has been a real challenge for Canadians over the past many years. That's why we made commitments around reducing their cell phone bills by 25%, why we've moved forward on greater investments and partnerships with companies that are ensuring that people have better access to this digital future we're all part of. We know that online activity, online business, online learning is going to be increasingly important in the coming years, and Canadians need to have that full access right across the board, and that's what we're working on.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Marie Morrissey, CBC. If you can please answer in both English and in French. Is this announcement today meant to pay for what the provinces have already announced, or is this extra money to pay for extra measures?
This is incremental funding. This is money that will go towards some of the things that the provinces hadn't moved forward with already. We wanted to make sure that resources weren't an overly limiting factor in doing things to keep our kids safe. We've heard very clearly from parents over the past weeks the level of anxiety they have, and extra measures that provinces can put forward to make sure that kids are safe is what will be available with these funds. Nous reconnaissons à quel point les parents sont inquiets, même avec les plans que les provinces ont déjà mis de l'avant. Alors, cet argent va permettre à des actions et des mesures supplémentaires pour vraiment rassurer les parents et assurer que nos enfants soient en sécurité pendant l'année scolaire.
Hello, Prime Minister. My name is Salman Faruqi. I'm from the Canadian Press. An independent panel set up to oversee the use of solitary confinement in federal prisons says it has been blocked doing its work by Correctional Services Canada. How do you respond to concerns this raises about the treatment of prisoners, and will you add some other kind of oversight, such as judicial oversight?
Obviously, it was really important for us to follow through on our commitment to end administrative and disciplinary segregation, which we've moved forward on. But the concerns brought forward by the panel, of course, are things that we're taking seriously. I know Minister Blair and Corrections Canada are engaging on this issue, and we'll have more to say in the coming days.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Lena Latafat from CP24. I want to ask you, were premiers across this country consulted, and how will this money be rolled out, and how will it be divided?
Yesterday, I had the opportunity to have my 17th First Minister's meeting since the beginning of the COVID crisis back in March. This was an opportunity to highlight our desire to help out the premiers in an area that is very much their jurisdiction of keeping kids safe in schools. So we put forward $2 billion in a way that is entirely flexible so that they can do the things that are necessary to keep kids safe in their jurisdictions across the country. What we've asked for is that come December, they tell us what they did with the money, how they kept kids safe, so that we can release the second half of this money. This is something that will allow the money to flow quickly and to do those extra things that will reassure parents that their kids are safe in terms of that. The decision we made on how to divide the money across the country was very straightforward. We looked at Statistics Canada's numbers for Canadians between the ages of 4 and 18, and that is how we divided the money in a fair way with a $2 million base rate, if you want to get into the technical details of it. But the premiers were very pleased with this funding going forward, and have certainly intending to make sure that kids are kept safe with it.
Hi, Prime Minister. Ashley Legasic from News Talk 1010. Do you truly think it's realistic that with less than 2 weeks to go until kids are back in class, that this money is coming at a good enough time and that it can be divided provincially and then regionally in a matter of less than 2 weeks?
The reality is the provinces all put forward plans for the safe restart with their best experts, with their resources to make sure that they were confident that schools were going to restart carefully. They've been working on that properly. They've been working on those plans, obviously, for the past months. What we realized when we saw the level of anxiety and preoccupation that parents across the country had still, even with those plans in place, we realized that we could give the provinces even more resources. Some of it could go forward right away. Some of it might be able to help out if there's a second wave later in the fall. These are the kinds of things that we know Canadians need to see their provinces acting on, and giving this money to them in order to keep our kids safe is a way for the federal government to be there to help in an area that is provincial jurisdiction. We respect the Constitution, but we needed to find a way to be there for Canadians, and that's exactly what we've done. Since the beginning of this pandemic, we made a commitment to have Canadians back through this pandemic, and that's exactly what we're continuing to do today.
Thank you, Prime Minister. This concludes today's press conference. C'est ce qui met fin à la conférence de presse d'aujourd'hui.
Merci tout le monde. Thank you all so much.